Okay, guys, I've got a very serious question to have you contemplate with me. It's very serious. Why is it that the mini M&Ms are always so much better than the regular M&Ms? Like, really, why? I don't understand why the mini M&Ms just seem like they're just so good. I mean, regular M&Ms are good too, but like they're just like extra delicious. And of course they come in the like little tubes where they're like, you really don't really have that much of M&Ms in them, especially with them being so small, and they're gone in like 2 seconds, and you're just like, literally could just pour them down your throat and be like done. And yet I'm always like, man, those are so good. Like, I just need more. I don't get it. I mean, I really like regular M&Ms too. Do not get me wrong. Regular M&Ms are amazing. But why is it that the mini M&Ms that go so fast are the ones that I'm like, man, I wish I had like 20 more buckets of these. Like, really? Really? And why do we only sell them in the small little tubes? Why don't we sell them normally, like in the big bags, like regular M&Ms? I don't understand. I really don't understand. All I know is that I made the mistake of buying some mini M&Ms at the checkout counter when I did grocery shopping the other day, and I ate them last night, and now I'm like, I need more. It's a problem, folks. It's a problem. All right, let's go ahead and get started with today's class. Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today's class, we're going to be continuing on with Queen of Sorcery, chapters 16 through 20. Hopefully you are enjoying the book and enjoying discussing it with me. I would love to hear your thoughts on it so far. Of course, as always, please make sure to let me know down below. And yeah, before we get started into today, starting with our recap, as always, let's go ahead and go over the trivia question. Last week's answer was Lord Soth. Congratulations to those of you who got it right. And we had 4 correct answers from Paul, Troy, Dan, and Brendan. So thank you so much to everybody who contributed and sent in answers. I hope that you guys will continue to enjoy the game and answer the trivia question on the site. Go ahead and head over there to fantasyfictionfanatics.net. And on the right hand side, if you're on computer, scroll down just a little bit and you'll be able to see the question, as well as right below the answer from last week and the correct participants. Or if you're on mobile, you'll have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and then you'll be able to see the question there and the correct answers down there. So I always post the new question. I change them on Saturdays, and I announce the people who got it correct in the next video on the site underneath it, and also on the Discord. So if you're on the Discord, you can go ahead and check out the answers there. So the new question is up. Hopefully we'll go ahead and check it out and possibly play along with the others that are already playing. Thanks again for everybody who participates. It really means a lot to me. And hopefully we will have more people to participate as we continue going through. All right, let's go ahead and start today's class and get into our recap. So in this set of chapters, we are meeting at the very beginning. We are meeting the King of Tolnadra, who is Ran Borun, I think is how you say his name. Ran Borun, at least that's how it's spelled to me, how you would say that. And he doesn't want to help them. He doesn't see that anything happening in the world or anything that deals with the orb and Murgos has anything to do with him or affecting him in any way. So he does not want anything to do with Belgariad and his quest to get back the orb. We do see Asherak, who shows up in the middle of his meeting with the king. And we do learn that he is also the same person known as Chamdar. So the Grolem and the Murgo are the same person. And then before they leave Tolnadra, they're on their way heading out, and they're just picking up the trail again. Garon and a few others in the party witness a blatant poisoning right in the middle of the street. And it seems to have been from Nicean poison. And then they leave and they're on their journey again, and right when they're getting started, they are joined by a girl and her tutor, and they're not upfront about who she is at the beginning, though it is apparent that Garon and Aunt Pole at least do know who she truly is. And it is Sinedra, who is trying to escape the palace after we've known earlier that she was under guard and not allowed to leave. So eventually, as they're continuing through, Pole demands Sinedra to be honest with everybody and to fully show who she is and what she's doing there. And she drives away the tutor and is like, I'm trying to get rid of him. We don't want him around anymore. So she does drive him away and make him think that it was his idea. And they continue on their way until they reach the Dryad Forest. And then while they are there camping out, they are attacked by these mud people who turn out to be internally snakes from Nicaea. And that's where we left it, basically right after they discovered the snakes are the ones that are attacking them, and Pole sends the snake that they captured back with a message. So that's where we are right now. Again, please let me know down below. I would love to hear your thoughts and feelings on the book so far and what you're thinking. Any comments, questions, concerns, of course, I'd love to hear them. Alright, so I have three main things I wanted to talk about for this section of chapters. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was character versus reader. In this set of chapters, we've had this since the very beginning, but especially in these chapters, there really is a disconnect about what the characters know and what we as the reader knows. And it's very, very interesting, in my opinion, to be like, we're in the know of what is happening, who people are, and what the future is going to bring, while certain characters do not, and you know that they don't. So you know more than the character does, and that gives you a little edge, as well as some comedic moments or some irony going on where you're like, I know something that the character doesn't know, and that makes it interesting or gives meaning to something that would be seemingly more casual. Sorry if you can hear all that barking from the dogs. There are some people passing by, and so it might be very loud on here, I'm not sure. So if you can hear it, I apologize. Anyway, so we have this in a couple of places in these chapters. One, which is a smaller mention at this point, is that we have yet seen another person who has mentioned that he looks Riven instead of Sindarian. So we obviously know why everyone thinks that he's Riven, but Garon doesn't understand why everyone thinks that he looks Riven, or at least not Sindarian, and he's not really sure where he's from or what. So we're continuing to see this mention or this idea being brought to Garon and being put in his face, and him having to rethink about things. Obviously we know why, obviously we know what it means and who he is, and he does not. So it is interesting to see how all of these times being pushed toward him, being like, you look Riven, you look Riven, you don't look Sindarian, even though that's where you say that you're from. Everyone can tell that something isn't right. And though Garon does understand that something isn't right, he doesn't know fully what it means or why everyone is saying that he looks Riven. So it is interesting as a reader to be like, we know who you are, what is going to happen, not 100% fully, but we do understand what his purpose is and obviously what kind of role he's going to be growing into. As well as some of the other characters. I mean, Aunt Pole knows, Belgariad knows. We don't know how much, like Barak and Silk and those kind of characters know. We're not sure. Or at least I'm not sure, maybe you guys know how much they understand things. But at this point we know for certain Garon doesn't, and we know that only a couple people know for sure that he is going to be the Riven King, or is a descendant of the original Riven King who was protecting the orb. So really interesting to see Garon's reaction, Garon thinking it over, having this constantly brought to his attention. And we're going to see if eventually being brought to his attention again and again and again, if he's going to connect the dots or if he's not. We don't know exactly how much Garon knows of the legend that comes with the orb. We don't know how, obviously he doesn't realize what his hand, the symbol on his hand means. So obviously he's not overly familiar, so he might figure it out and he might not. We will just go ahead and have to see. Now, the other more prominent thing that we are being presented with that we know more about than the characters do is the fact that Sinedra is Garon's intended bride. And to me, this is just so interesting to have this knowledge and to see how these two interact and how Garon feels about her at this point, knowing that this is going to be his future wife. I don't know, maybe it's just me and I just get that little bit of a sense of humor, or maybe it's because I'm romantic or whatnot. I'm not sure. You'll have to let me know if you feel the same way. But I really, truly, this whole time reading this, with him saying how annoying she was and how she was going to be a pain and how he was totally right, she was a pain because she was ordering him to do all these things, just was like, you're going to be stuck with her forever. And she doesn't want to go and be this bride of this person. And I'm just like, the guy you're intended to marry is right there. Like, there's not going to be an escape for you because you are already in the vicinity of the person that you are supposed to go there to marry. So it's just very interesting to me to be in the know on that and to be like, you don't know this, but you're in the vicinity of the person you're going to marry and you don't even know it. And it's not even that you're going to be able to choose who you marry. It's already destined. It's already been, I don't know if it's for sure in that prophecy, we aren't told that, but they have at least already set it up because a higher power is saying that that's the person he's supposed to marry. And so it's just very interesting to see the interaction between the two of them and the kind of conflict that is happening between the two of them, knowing that they are in the future going to have a full romance happening for them. Whether they like that or not in the beginning, we're going to see. We don't actually know if they're going to develop into liking each other beforehand and it's going to be, you know, no problem, or if it's going to be a problem where Garon and Sinedra are going to really fight and be like, I don't want to be with this person. We do already have a little bit of a thought that they might end up liking each other, and the fact that when they're both at the pool bathing, she asks him if he would like to kiss her, and he is not totally against that idea once he's seen her when she's a little more casual, not being so high and mighty, do this for me, do that for me. So at this point, we're going to see where their relationship goes, but it's very interesting to see the start of it and how antagonistic it is, knowing that they're eventually going to have to come to terms with the fact that they have already been set up to be married. Again, it's going to be interesting on how long it takes them to get there. We're going to see how them not knowing they're supposed to be married is going to affect their relationship when it comes closer to time to her having to go and present herself to the Riven King. We don't know exactly how that's going to work with them not knowing who they are and who the other person is, unless by the time they get to that point they already know, and then we'll see how that works out as well. And so he really doesn't like her except for at this last little moment where they have that more real interaction. And so we're going to see how that changes, how that develops. But I just think it's very interesting to read the story and be like, I know who that is and I know who that is and I know what's supposed to happen in the end. And just seeing them not jibing at the moment and being like, well, get used to this because, or thinking about the fact that in the future, what is Sinedra going to think about her actions? Or how is in the future Garon going to think about his actions in the beginning when he finds out that he is going to be marrying her or she's going to be marrying him? Though I guess Eddings could take us on a completely different twist and have it where they don't end up getting married or something happens. We don't know 100% sure that it's going to follow through, but we do know that this is what's supposed to happen, is that they're supposed to have a relationship and they're supposed to get married, and it is, according to Pohl, going to happen whether you fight it or not, because it is already destined and set up, and it is the whole treaty or the whole signed agreement that they will go ahead and send their daughter there is just a formality so that nobody feels like they're cheated, and it's going to happen whether they want it to or not. So it's very, very interesting. I really would truly like to know what you think about the disconnect between what the characters know and how they're interacting with each other, as well as what we as the reader know and how we interact with seeing what they are doing or not doing, because we have the knowledge that they don't. Of course, Aunt Pohl and Belgariad do have this knowledge, and we are going to have to continue reading through and seeing how that affects how they treat the two. Because it's very interesting that Aunt Pohl would send Sinedra to the lake or the little pond to bathe when she already knew Garon was doing so, and trusting him to watch over her while she's going to be naked. Because usually Aunt Pohl is like, Garon, do not even look at other girls, do not be in the vicinity of other girls, and she chases everybody away or makes it so Garon cannot be in any romantic situations. But this time she specifically puts them together in a situation that is not altogether proper, especially by Garon's standards. Sinedra didn't care, but Garon definitely did not see it being proper for him to see her naked, and is very much a gentleman and keeps his back turned, which she finds very funny. So it's just an interesting dynamic, and we're going to see how it continues to play out as we go along. Alright, and let's move on to the next point. I think in this one set of chapters, and it has been building slowly throughout this whole entire book, but really in these set of chapters we kind of see again how Eddings is leading us and our plot is building towards the Niceans. And obviously when we first started this book, I did talk about the cover, where we had this unknown person here in the front who looks very wild, and we didn't know who she was at the beginning. It is increasingly, well, as we see the Nicean map, we do have Nicaea right here behind her for the map portion. But we didn't know who she was, but it seems increasingly the case that that's going to be Selmrissa. She does have the whole snake vibe in the chair, and on her, wrapped around her legs, the jewelry that's our snakes. And so it seems like, as we're reading, Eddings is slowly building us toward having to confront the Niceans. We don't know for sure that that is happening, of course. And Pohl is trying at this moment very hard to not have to confront them and have to go after them. She is trying to give them a warning by saying, hey, if you keep this up, we will come after you and you will not be happy. But it seems that Eddings is slowly building us and building us and building us in this direction, or at least leading us to believe we are going in this direction, based on how much we are seeing the Niceans. In this chapter, these set of chapters alone, we have two different encounters with Niceanness, stuff from Nicaea. We have the poisoning that happens in the street, and it is clearly said that it must have been Nicean poison. So we have that mention. And then we have a full-blown attack on our characters and a whole confrontation from snakes that are from Selmrissa, who is, as we have known, trying to get them to her. We don't have any clue, none whatsoever, exactly what she wants or what her gain is. If she, it seems that she's going to be an adversary, because, you know, usually somebody who's going to be helpful is not going to come about getting you and being involved with you by attacking you. But we don't fully know that she's on the side of the Murgos either. She just wants them captured and brought to her for whatever reason that's going to be. She wants some kind of audience with them for sure. And she's gonna do whatever she can. And I think in the moment where she's attacking with the mud people with the snakes in them, is that she's trying to intimidate them enough that they will go to her. So I don't think she's actually trying to kill anybody at this point. She's just trying to get their attention and trying to make it so they have to come to her. Though, you know, we don't know at this point, she might come to them. We don't know exactly how this is going to play out. But she's trying all she can to deter them and to get them to come to her in whatever means possible. So it's very interesting that we are getting constantly all these hiccups in the road from from Zelmarissa and the Niceans, and constantly all these mentions, but Pol and Belgariad are trying so hard not to have to go there. They're trying to abate all of these problems so that way they can keep moving forward. But Eddings seems to be leading us to the point where they might not be able to continue ignoring the problem and not go and see her. So we're going to see if the plot is building us in the way that we think it's going to be, or if we're just being fooled, because that's very possible as well. Eddings could 100% be fooling us with this and making us see one thing while really it's going to be another. But so far it seems that we're really building up to a crescendo with the Niceans, and we're going to see what's going to happen when somebody pops. Either it's going to be Zelmarissa, who just takes matters in her own hand, is going to come after them personally, or it's going to be when Pol and Belgariad decide that they have to step in and confront Zelmarissa themselves, and will journey there. So we're going to see, but so far we have been being led in this direction from the plot point and perspective, and I think that's really interesting to see if we're going to make it there, or if we're going to bust through the plot developments and the roadblocks that the Niceans are putting in front of our main characters. Now, the third thing that I think is very interesting about these set of chapters is that we are being presented with a new problem. Well, possibly a problem. We don't actually know if it's going to end up being a problem or not. But this is the first monarch that they have visited that has blatantly been opposed to helping with the cause of the orb. Ran Barun does not want anything to do with Belgariad, with stopping Torak, who I'm not even sure if he believes in. He certainly does not believe in Belgariad or Polgara, despite the evidence otherwise. Despite anything that they would do or say, he refuses to believe in them. He refuses to believe that any part of this conflict, whether it happens or it doesn't, is going to affect him or harm him in any way, or his people. He refuses to act against the Murgos or to take any preventative measures in case the Murgos do end up turning on him, because right now they are helping him out, and he does not want to overanalyze how they are helping him and to see if it truly is helping him in a good way or if it's only going to be in a temporary way, because he believes 100% that, oh, they're fine, everything's good, they're helping me, I'm not gonna rock the boat, I don't want to rock the boat, I know better than you guys, and you guys can have your little war, and I want nothing to do with it. And this is definitely a new development for us. So far, every other person or monarch that we have come across has all been in favor for Belgariad and Polgara, have been asking them for their advice, been very grateful when they come in and say, hey, this is what's happening, and they don't know about it. They're like, oh good, now I know, I can prevent things. Garon saved the last monarch they were with by letting him know that there was a plot in order to kill him based on the Murgo that was in his area. Now that we go into the place that's flooded with Murgos, they're everywhere, and it's also some place that's a very corrupt political system. And we understand that the Murgos are not there for just any old reason. But Ranbaroon refuses to see it, refuses to see any problems with what's going on in his area, and just sees that he is being benefited from it and will not have any problems. So it's very interesting, and it's also interesting the fact that this is the first monarch that we have come to that doesn't believe in who Belgariad and Polgara are. Usually all of them are very knowledgeable about them, already have met them before, are very respectful, instantly want their counsel, and Ranbaroon is like, I don't even believe in you. There's nothing you can do or say that will make me believe that you're even who you say you are. Which is very interesting, especially since he is the one that is under contract to send his daughter to be the Riven King's bride, which he doesn't want to do either, but he hasn't specifically said that he won't follow through on it. Right now he's just keeping his daughter locked up and was hoping not to have to send her. So I think that it's a very interesting development that we have, that there is some opposition happening and not just complete unity throughout all of the people under Belgariad. I think this will add some interesting points. It's very much gonna build into something different, and I'm interested now to see, as they continue moving forward, if we're gonna start having more people who are affected by the Murgos and more accepting of Murgos and not wanting to get in the conflict, more opposition, or if we're going to be getting a mix still, or if we're going to still get, again, more people that are on Belgariad and Polgara's side. But we've now thrown in a little piece of being like, oh, not everybody is all go happy to fight Torak and to believe in Belgariad and Polgara and to fight this war and to get rid of all Murgos. And that will also be a problem for them when they have to fight Torak if not everybody's on board. If you have a war, and not everyone's unified, then that's going to give you more problems to have to deal with the people who are not on board. Whether they decide to take the enemy side or whether they're out of it completely, it still is going to be a problem to have to work around. So not everything is just all great and dandy and we're all building up this happy little army that's going to fight and be ready if and win. I'm sure there's going to be a win. It's that kind of story. That Torak rises up and there's going to be some kind of conflict and war breaks out. What is going to happen? It's no longer a certainty that this side is going to be unified against that side. So far, we have seen a lot of unification. We've seen a lot of people who are ready to fight Torak and to be on their side. But now we know not everyone is that way. And we know with Nicaea and how everything is happening with Salmarissa and her attempts to see them, we don't know if it's going to be a good or bad interaction per se, but we do know that she's not necessarily going to be on their side, and she's not 100% going to be on their side for sure with the way that she's attacking them. So we already know that there's two sets of people that are going to be a problem. How much that's going to affect the overall event and how that's going to affect things moving forward, we're going to have to find out. And we're going to find out if there's more people that are going to be affected, especially because we are moving closer and closer to wherever Zedar is taking the orb. The orb is supposed to be going to Torak. So we're going to be closer and closer to the place where Torak is and where everybody is Torak followers. So it's likely that we're going to be getting more and more opposition than less opposition. But we don't know for sure because we don't know exactly where we're going, and that leaves us this building of this conflict that's coming even before we get to the main event, and it's very interesting for me. Hopefully it is as interesting for you. Please let me know what you think about that down below as well. I would love to hear your thoughts on where you feel like we're going and how things are being built up. And I've got a couple nitty gritty items as always. So, I thought it was very surprising that this really stood out to me was that Belgariad was pretty harsh with Sinedra, and feeling like she was going to be a pain to travel with and to be around. And I think that's very interesting. Not saying that Polgara is always a harsh person or that she's a bad person in any way, because Polgara is a wonderful woman and really caring person. But usually Polgara is the one that seems to be a little bit harsher, and Belgariad is a little bit more of the laid back one and being like, yeah, whatever, and big picture. He talks about how he's the big picture kind of person, but he really is instantly like, I do not want this girl around on this journey. Like, do we really have to keep her? And I felt like that was a very interesting contrast for Belgariad's normal behavior to be quite so harsh and not wanting Sinedra with them and feeling like she was going to be annoying. So, I mean, to me, I thought Pol was going to be the one that's going to be like, you're not going to be ordering anybody around. You get with the program. You're not all that and a bag of chips. And Belgariad's just being like, yeah, whatever. I mean, gotta do what you gotta do. But no, Polgara was like, didn't say anything about, you know, Sinedra bossing Garon around at all. And Belgariad is the one that's like, I do not want this girl here. Let's get rid of her. So I just think it's very interesting, the different dynamic that brought, and was a bit unexpected. And then we have Garon has been becoming pretty strong and brave lately. I keep seeing Garon from where we started in book 1, the very, very beginning, to where we are now. We really see a lot of development, especially in book 2. I didn't feel like we had a very high, quick rise in his character development in book 1, but here in book 2 I feel like we really are starting to see Garon develop into a very strong, brave person. He dove right after he got Sinedra to safety. He dove right back into fighting because he wanted to help Dernick, and he was not going to be left out. No matter how much Aunt Pol was scolding him and telling him to get back, he was going to jump right back in there and save his friend. So we really see him turning into a very loyal, very strong, brave gentleman at this point, which of course that's what we were hoping for, and the fact that he does have to become a king one day. But he's developing very nicely in my opinion, and I feel like that we are constantly now seeing bits and pieces of this coming to light. And then last but not least, I thought we would mention that Pol has now twice had shown her emotions when it comes to Dernick. At the very end of these chapters, we see that she has a moment of weakness where she is very happy that Dernick is okay and was very worried about him and crying all over him and then scolding him. So it's very un-Pol-like, and as somebody who, Pol, who's not really big into romantic encounters, we do know that Dernick really likes Pol, and we are starting to see that maybe Pol really likes Dernick, even if she is not saying anything. So I think that was a really nice chance to see the soft side of Aunt Pol and how much she cares about Dernick. Okay, that's all I had for today's class. Hopefully you will let me know your thoughts and feelings about everything in these chapters. I love to have a conversation with you as always. You're also welcome to contact me on my social media. For Facebook, it is going to be facebook.com/fantasyfiction1. If Twitter is better for you, you can go ahead and find me at fantasyfiction1. Also, if you want more content from me, go ahead and jump over to my blog, fantasyfictionfanatics.net. I've got tons of different content on there, book reviews, just in-depth talking about different fantasy element things, recommendations of different books, more personal writings about me and my journeys with fantasy and that kind of stuff. So lots of different content. Go ahead and check that out on there if you're interested. You're also welcome to contact me on there as well. I do have a contact form for you if it works better for you. You can also email me. The email will be down below, and you're welcome to get a hold of me that way as well. Of course, don't forget to do the trivia question over there. Hopefully people will play, and I will be able to announce some more winners of people who got the correct answer on the next video. Also, if you would like to talk and chat with your fellow fantasy fiction fanatics, you are welcome to join the Discord. The link to join is going to be down below. It's also on my website if that's easier for you to get it there. I would love it if you joined us. We already have several people talking over there and discussing different fantasy things, and hopefully you will join us and have a conversation with us as well. And we talk about all kinds of things. It's not just fantasy, but hopefully you would then be able to meet some people that have similar interests to you and can have a good conversation. So you can also reach me on there as well, since I am talking and active on the Discord as well. For the next class, go ahead and read chapters 21 through 30. Sorry, that is not correct. 21 through 25. Pages 231 to 280. So sorry about that. We're not doing a 10 chapter jump. That would be a lot to discuss on. So just read the next 5 chapters, 21 through 25. So hopefully you are enjoying, and hopefully you will join me for the next class. And I will see you then. Bye.